We are back. I can assure you, Harbin, we're better than ever. Last week or last episode, I said we're back, and I don't know if we're better than ever, but we were at least back. I think we're better than ever this time.
I mean, we could be. Ever is a funny term. It could mean a lot of things. It's,
True.
it's relative, some would say.
So very quickly, Chad Grubb did listen to the show last week. He texted both of us,
It did. Proud of him.
and I think he seriously thought Allen Grubb Field was in the game, and maybe it will be
I mean,
in MLB the show.
it's definitely a possibility. All we've seen of gameplay, at least for me, is maybe a minute long video. It didn't make the cut like Granger High's field, but doesn't mean it's not in there.
But Allen Grove Field's undergoing a little bit of renovation right now, so I can understand why they may not put it in there this year's MLB The Show.
That is true. It may be part of a DLC that you have to purchase mid-season after it gets
Correct.
finished. So, but credit to Sony and the MLB for wanting to get every single little detail correct.
Yeah, I agree. I understand. So we'll keep you updated on that, Chad. If we know you're listening, we'll keep you updated when and if Allen Grove Field makes the cut for MLB The Show. That is Harb. I'm Negative Niece. We're back. We're just going to get right into this thing because I got a lot going on. Harb's got a lot going on, and we've got a lot to talk about. So, Tennessee basketball. Our last show, we previewed Texas A&M. I think both of us said we thought Tennessee would win. Looked a little early, or looked a little ugly early on for Tennessee. Our typical slow start, but I think after the first TV timeout, they really picked it up. But Chaz Lanier, what an awesome day he had yesterday, Harbin.
It's unbelievable. He was a flamethrower, especially in the first half. And to be 100% honest with you, he's the only reason that we didn't get absolutely throttled in the first 20 minutes of that ball game. So credit to that young man. Career day for him, and a huge victory on the road in College Station.
30 points for Lanier, 5 boards, only one turnover. He was 8 of 13 from 3 point range, 10 of 18 from the field. Incredible shooting day. I think at one point he was 6 of 7 from 3 point range, maybe 7 of 8. I don't remember. It was one of those two numbers.
He was
Uh,
6 of 7 at halftime.
yeah, so I think he started 6 of 6. And the only miss he had in the first half was when he rushed. He kind of rushed a shot, and I think the ball wasn't even in his hands. He shot it so fast. But yeah, just an incredible performance for Chaz Lanier. I don't know if it was his best performance of the year, but I think under the circumstances, it probably was. That Baylor game in the Bahamas earlier this year was probably his most incredible shooting performance. But this was right up there. And I don't know, Harv, if you saw it. There was a guy that tweeted back in, gosh, when was that? It was back when we got him, I guess. And he said, not tweeting again until Chaz Lanier scores 30. And he posted a meme yesterday of a guy on oxygen waking, or I had an oxygen mask on and he wakes up. The guy can tweet again. So I don't know the Twitter account or the X account, but that was pretty funny.
That is funny.
What do you think about the game overall besides Lanier? I thought it was a pretty well-rounded performance. Um, you know, Big Montana in our text thread said, Tennessee won, but it took a great performance from Lanier. Well, so what? That's what we got players like him for. We said that about Connect last year. That's what you have players like that for. That's what Chaz Lanier was brought here for, was to do things like what he did yesterday. And for Tennessee to go where they want to go this year, he might have to do it again. But I thought overall, I thought Ziegler played pretty well. Meshack did some little things well. I thought it was a pretty good team performance in a hostile environment against a really good basketball team on the road. Can you hear me? Can Harbin hear me?
You are cutting out. I don't know if it's mine or yours.
Oh no.
It might
Well,
be
my
mine.
internet says it's stable, so
It might be mine.
might be yours. What did you think about the game yesterday, Harbin? Besides Chaz Lanier.
Uh, the first half was kind of brutal to watch, honestly, especially on the offensive end. Like we discussed, A&M's long and athletic defensively, and we were not committed to getting the ball inside for the most part. We were settling, and when we did get it inside, we didn't do anything with it. And I believe 10 minutes into the game, we had 13 points, and our three field goals were Chaz Lanier threes, and the other 4 points were four free throws from Igor and Gainey, I believe. It was just it was awful. We would go through 3 or 4 minutes without even sniffing a score, but big time players step up in big time situations, especially in big time games. And the one that I was cussing like a dog in the first half was Zakai Ziegler. He played absolutely atrocious in that first half, and he deserved every bit of criticism that he was getting. But flash forward to the second half, he absolutely took over that ball game. It was kind of cool. It was kind of like it was like watching a it was like watching a starting pitcher and a closer work together. That was the best way that I could describe it. Chaz Lanier was the starter. He gave us 7 innings, 3 hits, one earned, and then Ziegler came in for the 3 out close, is what it felt like. I don't know what Ziegler ended up with total. I want to say it was 18, I think. Does that sound right?
Let me look real quick. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was free balling it.
Uh, Sorry, my computer froze here. Ziegler ended up with 16 on 7 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals.
All three turnovers were in the first half. If I'm what?
I was just gonna say he also had one block, and that was that key block at the near the end of the game. Texas A&M was putting up a three. Was that to tie, possibly tie it, or to get it down to three? I can't remember. But he had a pretty big block out on the perimeter.
That yes, we were up three
That's right.
because I felt like it was an odd decision for Buzz Williams to draw up a quick three with a minute left in the ball game. Even the announcers brought it up, but yes. But it was night and day first half, second half, which is kind of starting to become a trend for him a little bit. It happened in the Vanderbilt game as well. In that game, he went scoreless and then scored all of his 21 or 22 in the second half. I don't care how it happens. We got we got the dub against number 7 team in the country on the road, a very, very, very good A&M team. I didn't feel great about the game going into it, to be 100% honest with you. But the only reason it was a 3 point game was Lanier going crazy, and I will give Montana a little bit of credit on that. If Lanier doesn't shoot the absolute lights out of that building, we're down at least 15 at halftime. And we're scrapping and clawing trying to get our way back into the game, which we've done 7 or 8 times this season. So, but obviously that's what you brought him in to do. That's why he's here. He's our best scorer. It's not even close. But overall, I mean, in the second half, the reason we started scoring at will, or kinda, was because Ziegler was attacking the middle of that defense and either putting it up or getting guys open because the defense was collapsing. In the first half, we just weren't doing that at all. We were settling for jump shots, or if we got in the paint, we'd throw up something ugly. And it was just night and day difference. I kind of feel like a broken record talking about the difference in Tennessee's first half and second half offensive performances this season. It's a
I,
trend. It's a
yeah.
trend at this point.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. So, in another text group I'm in, I sent this out last night, but we were talking yesterday when the game started, and I didn't get to watch it live. I had to go back yesterday and watch it on tape delay. But Cruz said, "Why do we always start out so slow?" Well, the answer's been right in front of us. And Jordan Moore, when he was on a couple weeks ago, talked about it. It's the starting five. For whatever reason, that starting five is just not very good together. They're minus 31. And for those that are asking, what does that mean? It means they're not good. Ziegler, Meshack, Lanier, Milicic, Okpara. As a starting five is minus 31. That is worse than the SEC, I believe that's correct. Their best lineup, according to the numbers, is Ziegler, Gainey, Lanier, Milicic, Okpara. So I guess it's Meshack's fault if you want to call it that. But for whatever reason, that starting five is not good at all, or they don't start well. Now they play in and out of the lineup, I'm sure, as the game goes on. But
Well, we closed the game with four guards for the last 3 or 4 minutes. It was Ziegler, Lanier, Gainey, Meshack, and Okpara. And I think
I
we were
believe
kind of
so.
matching. I think we were kind of matching what A&M was doing because they put four guards out there for shooting purposes, I believe. But that lineup works. It's not going to work all the time, but it worked. And I give Barnes credit for going small because that's not necessarily his forte a lot of the time.
Mhm. And I don't think he's going to change this, even though the numbers say they're not great. I don't think he's going to change the starting lineup. He just doesn't do that. And they're 22-5. So why? But one thing that surprised me, and we talked about it, or at least I thought A&M might come out a little flat, just because of the start time, and they did not. They came out like a house on fire, and Tennessee was turning the ball. A lot of live ball turnovers early in the game. That was part of the problem offensively. But I think Tennessee was down at one point 17-8, and then proceeded to go on I think it was an 8 or 9-0 run to tie or to get it to one or to tie the game. And then from there on out, it was a back and forth one or two possession game at most. Um, but they need to come out and stop having such slow starts. I mean, been the MO for the last month and a half with this team. Is they start out slow, sometimes a lot slower than other games. I thought they started out slow yesterday, but they found it, well before the half. And again, that's a lot of credit due to Chaz Lanier's hot shooting. But I thought overall tough place to play. I mean, A&M's good. I mean, we don't need to forget that. I mean, they are the fifth best defensive team in the country, and number one in the country in rebounding. I think number one in point or number two in points off of rebounds, something like that. But very good defensive team, very good excellent rebounding team, elite, some would say. But Tennessee hung right there with them. They were getting beat up on the boards a little bit early, but got their footing, got their sea legs, and went to work and held their own against A&M. But fantastic win for Tennessee, I thought. That was a very good Texas A&M. Any Buzz Williams team is going to be a good team, and that was a really really good win on the road yesterday.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Anytime you can say we won against the number 7 team in the country on the road, you don't bitch about anything. You just
No,
you just smile and keep it moving. It's well a road game and conference play in this conference in general, but especially against a team like that. And I think we jumped them in the rankings
believe so. I'm trying
because
to.
we have the same conference record now, but obviously we have the tiebreaker. I don't know how they do.
We are in I believe I'm trying to pull up the SEC standings, and I'll try to post them on if you're watching the video version. Believe we're in a three-way tie. And bear with me while I pull these up. Yes, we are in a three-way tie for fourth now. So as of today, Sunday, February 23rd, Tennessee would have the number 4 seed, and would have a double bye in the SEC tournament. Auburn's at 1, Florida 2, Alabama 3, Tennessee at 4 now. At 9-5, tied with Missouri and A&M, have the tiebreaker over both of those programs. Ole Miss nipping on her heels at 8-6. Mississippi State had a puzzling week with a really good win over Texas A&M, and then I don't want to say it's a bad loss, but a confusing loss against at Oklahoma. But that's this conference. Oklahoma's playing a little bit better now, even though they're 4-10 in conference play. But yeah, Tennessee has a lot of good work with some wins over A&M and Missouri. That's put them in really good position. They control their own destiny from here on out, whether or not they remain a 4 seed or even they can kind of move up if some things go their way. I mean, they're 2 games back of Bama. They've got them in a couple, or this weekend. We'll talk about them in a second. Um, 2 games back of Florida, 4 games back of Auburn for first. I don't see that happening, but maybe that 3 seed's not 3 or 2 seeds not out of the realm of possibility, but definitely looking a whole lot better than when we were the 7 seed this time last week. So nice win for a lot of reasons. Um, SEC standings, nice win. Looks good on your resume. That's quad. That's the ninth quad one win. That's tied for second in the country. Auburn's got, I think, 14 or 15 now, I believe, which is unbelievable. But we're at 9, and I think we're tied with Oregon with 9 quad one wins. And I meant to look them up. I noticed Oregon beat Wisconsin yesterday, and they're not even ranked in the AP poll.
No, they're like 18-9.
Yeah, where are they
I
at in
so
Ken? They're number 34 in Ken Palm, so they're, I bitch about the human polls a lot, but right on line with them. And that was as is through games today, they're ranked 34 at 20-8. Don't know much about Oregon. I haven't watched them, but they beat Wisconsin yesterday, who is number 9 in Ken Palm. Crazy. And Tennessee's moved up a little bit. They this time last week they were 38th adjusted offense. They're now 29th, still number 1 in adjusted defense, but 5th overall in Ken Palm behind Duke, Auburn, Houston, and Florida. Alabama's right behind us. So Tennessee's right there in the mix. We say it every week, JWTDG, and they did. And they've got another big week ahead of them at LSU, a game they should win and probably pretty, I don't want to say heavily favored, but probably going to be a double digit favorite in that game. And then they're hosting the Crimson Tide in a big one on Saturday at Thompson Bowling Arena. And I apologize. My computer's all over the place here. I'm trying to find out what the percentages of. But last time I looked, we were favored, Harb, but that was a couple weeks ago. But I think the LSU game, Tennessee needs to go down there and take care of business and not play around. Um, I don't know what the final score was from Saturday, but LSU at the half was leading Florida yesterday. So I just don't think you can take a night off in this conference. And Tennessee can't do that. If they want to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, which they're right there on the border of, if they want to be the double bye and not play till Thursday in Nashville in the SEC tournament, they can't go down to LSU and lose. They can go down there and play badly and win. Won't leave a good taste in a lot of people's mouths, but they need to go down there and take care of business. It says matchup predictor gives Tennessee a 78.3% chance to win that game at LSU, Harb. And then Bama at home on Saturday, 4 o'clock, ESPN. It gives Tennessee a 66.5% chance to win that basketball game. Can they go 2-0 this week? Or we know they can. Will they, Harbin?
I don't know.
Put you on the spot there, didn't I?
I'm gonna say no.
Who do they lose to?
That's a hell of a question. I,
LSU?
I don't know. SEC plays weird.
It's on the
It's
road. It's on the road.
yeah, it's a road like we just mentioned 5 minutes ago. Road wins in this conference are like gold. And LSU's got what, three or four conference wins. I think they only have three. They could have four by now.
They're at 3-11, I believe.
Yeah, but
Yes.
and like this sounds dumb, but they're not bad. Like that's the funny thing about it is they're not bad. I wouldn't put them in the good category. They're not a bad basketball team. I'll tell you one thing, we can't go down there and just pussyfoot around thinking you're going to win by 15. That's definitely not going to happen. So I fully expect them to be prepared, but just for conversation's sake, I'm going to say that we drop one of these games. And I'll let you be the hero coming in right here.
I think we I don't know. Tennessee plays really well at home, and under Rick Barnes, Tennessee has had a lot of success versus Nate Oates um, here at Tennessee. If this game was being played at Alabama this weekend, would not pick Tennessee. I wouldn't even think about it. It'd be Alabama all the way. It being at home, Thompson Bowling Arena, it's going to be a later afternoon start, 4 o'clock. Students might be a little juiced up. I know Thompson Bowling is so quiet. People just sit on their hands. They don't cheer. But I just don't, I refuse to believe that it's not a hard place to play because teams don't come here and play very well at all. I think a lot of it is Tennessee. But I think we go 2-0 this week, Harb. I think we beat Alabama at home. I think we handle LSU on the road. The way this team played Saturday, I've got a good vibe about how they're playing right now. Um, I don't want them to peak too soon, but I think they need to play well down the stretch here. Um, I thought they played really well yesterday. I know it didn't look pretty at times, but it was never going to look pretty against Texas A&M the way they play defense and the way they rebound. It's just Buzz Williams. It's Buzz Williams and Rick Barnes basketball. It's going to be a it's going to be a rock fight, and that's what it was. So I just thought Tennessee, just watching the game, I thought they played really well. We've got Zakai Ziegler. He's worth his weight in gold. Just you got to have a good point guard in this league. Alabama's got plenty of good players too. But again, if this game was at Coleman Coliseum, I'd be more tempted to pick Alabama, and I'm sure they would be favored. But I don't know the numbers and everything, and my guts telling me Tennessee wins that game on Saturday against Alabama at Thompson Bowling. Um, we've not lost much at Thompson Bowling over the last 5 years. I think like 6 times. So, but if they do lose, it's again, I hate to keep saying this all the time. It's everybody's going to come out and moan and whine and oh, here we just can't beat anybody good. Well, we've got 9 quad 1 wins, so that's not true. But um, if we lose, not a big deal. It's just not. Yeah, it might drop us out of, depending on what everybody else does, might drop us out of that number 4 seed. But I wouldn't call it a must win. Our buddy Walker wants to say every time I talk to him, this is a must win. Every game's a must win to him. And I don't know if he's speaking in relative terms or if he's being serious, but not every game's a must win. But I don't think you need to go on the road and lose to LSU. That would be a bad loss.
I will correct you on one thing. When you're playing Alabama, it's a must win.
Touche.
I will correct you on that.
Touche. Touche.
And in a weird way, I'm not even going to say what I was about to say because I'd probably get roasted for it.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to say it.
We don't want you to get arrested, Harb.
No, I said roasted, not
Oh,
arrested.
roasted. I thought you said arrested. I was like, what? No. Why would you get arrested? We believe in the First Amendment here, Harbin. Free speech. You'll never get arrested for anything you say here. This isn't Germany.
Last week you said Mac Miller won the NBA dunk contest, and now
I did.
now you're thinking I'm going to get arrested.
God, my hearing's going away in my old age, Harb.
Huh?
What?
What?
I'm trying to look up I wanted to ask you something, Harb. We kind of talked about it a little bit, and I'm trying to find it's from, and I don't like this guy, but it was Wes Rucker. And to paraphrase, and I'll try to find it while you're talking, and it just made me think of, Montana when he's texting us. A lot of times when Tennessee's playing well or we win, you don't really hear much. But when they lose, and it's not just him, there's others too. I mean, they just can't seem to get messages out and tweets out fast enough. And I don't want to make it sound like they want Tennessee to lose, but it's like they get enjoyment out of it almost. I'm not saying they do, but why are they? I don't understand, I guess, is what, like, why do people get so down on when we lose a game in basketball during the regular season? It just, the vitriol gets really ramped up, and Rick Barnes is going to retire. We're not very good, blah, blah, blah. And I know I talked to Jordan the other day, it's overreaction, but it seems like you don't see that when Tennessee plays baseball, and not as much. I mean, depending on who we're playing, not that much in football, but why do you think that is, Harb?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. Which I've had my fair share of criticizing basketball teams at times, and I'm not gonna act like a saint and act like I expect them to win every game and go to the Final Four every year. That I think 99% of us fall in the middle of that. It's optimism met with reality. It's kind of where I live my sports fandom. Uh, but I feel like a lot of the people that are fairly vocal when this basketball team loses is because of those is it's the two minorities of the fan base. The ones that think Rick Barnes sucks and the ones that think that he's the second coming. You know, I really think that most of what they say is kind of aimed at the other every time something good or bad happens. I don't think it has a lot to do with most of us, to be honest with you. Uh, like a lot of them love to say, same all year. I don't know why you got your hopes up. They got their hopes up too. Like, it just is what it is. And if we go to the Sweet 16 and we lose to, I don't know, Marquette or some team like that and we get beat, I will be very vocal about how frustrated I am, especially if we scored 24 points in the first half and score 42 or something in the second and come up just short. I'll be very vocal and I'll be pissed off, because we've kind of been there before. It's no secret. But also, you can acknowledge how good of a year it was before that. Like, it's glass half full, glass half empty. It has a lot to do with your viewpoint on life as well, to be 100% honest with you. Don't mean to turn that into a life speech, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can either look at things for the good in them or the bad in them. It just is what it is.
Yeah. I
But
found
we're getting ahead of ourselves because we have a damn good basketball team.
yeah, I found the tweet just very quickly after digging through it there while you were talking. His tweet was, it looks like it was after the Kentucky game. He said people feel how they feel and they're entitled to it, but it's still weird to see the level of frustration so many people have in a Tennessee basketball team that's consistently been near the top of the sport for a while now. He says, I understand it, but it still feels so extreme. Um, yeah, one quote that came behind it says, I have a hard time dealing with it. I love all my Vol teams, but our basketball Vols seem to get more than their fair share of criticism despite success. I really don't understand. We have great coaches, great players, and the league's best record for the past 5 or 6 seasons. And then we had, well, this is a fitting name, Negaval. He says it's the reason Rick was fired by Texas. They were stuck in basketball purgatory. They made some bad hires along the way, but in the end, the program was tired of the outcome in the tournament, and they realized he had hit his ceiling long before then. But I mean, I don't agree with hardly anything Wes Rucker ever tweets, but I saw that it just kind of caught my eye because I feel that way. It's so weird. I don't want to say weird. It's puzzling to me that when we lose, it's like people are so frustrated and so mad, and maybe it is because it's the same thing every year, but that's this program. You know you're going to get a great defensive effort every night. You know for the most part they're going to rebound the basketball, they're going to play hard. Sometimes they just can't shoot or their offense gets stuck in neutral for some reason. Um I don't know. I just was thinking about that, Harb, and wanted to bring it up and get your opinion on it because it does seem like that when we lose that happens. I mean, it's listen to I about said Russell Wilson. What's his Russell Smith from Fox Sports Radio. Listen to his call-in show after game. Listen to Basilio after a loss. I mean, it is like people are just hanging on by a thread. It's so bad. I don't know. It
One
just
thing, one
it is
thing, I,
frustrating.
one thing I will say to respond to everything you just said, I didn't judge anyone for their outbursts or how redneck mad they were after going 0-2 to that Kentucky team with the team that we have. If you, I mean, Kentucky's Kentucky, but in basketball, like that is our biggest two games of the regular season every single year. Outside of maybe last couple games, if we have a chance to win the SEC, you lose both of those games, especially the way that you did. I wasn't judging anybody for calling into Basilio after that one.
Yeah, no, I understand why people were frustrated after that game, but I'm talking about overall. It just seems like
Yeah,
it.
no, yeah, for sure, and I've already touched all that. But yeah, I mean, it does taint the season that you went 1-3 against Vandy and Kentucky. It does
I
taint
just,
a little bit. Now, if we go to a Final Four, everybody will shut the hell up and
I
nobody will
just,
remember
I
that.
just want people to be as happy with a win as they are mad when we lose. Because
Yeah.
winning is hard. Winning is very hard, and but I get it. Tiger Woods said it. I hate. Tiger Woods said, "I hate making bogeys more than I love making birdies." Or something like maybe he said that, but a lot of people will say I hate losing more than I love winning, and I hate losing. I don't want it to sound like that. But I trying to stay level headed here, Harbin. See the big picture. Tennessee's really good. They're 22-5.
Peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys. You can't get too. I've said it. You can't get too high and too low right now. Like we can't be like, oh, this is. I mean, I think we're a national title contender, but you can't say after that game, oh, all right, yeah, we're back. We're national. We're going to the national title game. We're going to the Final Four. You just can't because this conference will humble you the old country way very quickly. But let's hope Tennessee is on their A game this week because they got two games they can win, even though one of them's against a really good team that's also a Final Four contender in Alabama. Before we move on to baseball, they had a big series this weekend. Harb, I wanted to get your thoughts. This is my hater and loser of the week, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Nebraska canceling the home and home series, not this coming season, but 2026 and 2027 with Tennessee. It came out on Friday, multiple reports, and Danny White even had some comments on it. But Nebraska is going to pay us $500,000 per game, so $1 million total, to not play us in 2026 in Lincoln and 2027 in Knoxville. What's your thoughts on that?
Shucking in their boots.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that I
I
don't.
am
I
too.
was really looking forward to going to Lincoln, Nebraska for that game.
I am too. Um, I just now thought of this, and I don't know if it's even in the realm of possibility. Could be. One thing that would be cool would be to potentially fulfill the home and home with BYU because we didn't have a choice in that. We didn't back out of it. We were supposed to go to Provo in 2020, and that's obviously COVID season, and it was conference only. It would be cool to potentially reach out to them if they have an opening and go out there. Like that, I would enjoy that. Like it would just be cool to go out there. I don't think we've ever went out there. I think we've talked about that before. That'd be cool. Maybe call UCF since they're Big 12 now. I saw where Golish was chirping a little bit on Twitter. I think it was all
He wrote Danny White suck.
yeah, it's all in fair play on that. Which obviously he ain't ducking smoke from nobody. He's scheduled a home and home with Alabama. Well,
I,
he didn't, but
I would be fine with a home and home with South Florida. We can
yeah,
play them here, and then we can go down to Raymond James. And I know they're trying to build a new stadium, but it won't be done by 2027 or whenever it is. I just hate it. I don't know why Nebraska did this. I guess they just, with the way things are lined up now and how good conferences are, especially like I don't. I tell Walker this all the time. He's like, our non-conference schedule sucks. Well, you only are required to play one Power Five team every year. So why load yourself up with more of them? Like if you've got one on there, look how many teams you're going to play in the SEC that's going to help your schedule. You're going to have a tough schedule anyway. So it doesn't make sense for us to play an NC State and a Syracuse in the same season or whoever it may be. But to lose Nebraska, a true home and home, and it wasn't a neutral site game, which it seems that's all we play Power Five teams anymore, non-conference Power Five teams or Power Four, sorry. That's what stinks about it. Plus, it would like, what do we do? I mean, that's less than 2 years now, so that's going to be tough to find another Power Five opponent in that amount of time. I don't know if they will or not, but I trust Danny White. I'm sure he's burning up the phone lines, him and Josh Heupel right now, trying to figure it out because it's not one of those things they can sit around and we'll figure it out, we'll figure it out later. I think they got to go to work now on it and try to, make some phone calls. Because if I read it correctly, this game was scheduled and the contract was signed back in 2006, which is 19 years ago. I think that was under Mike Hamilton when he was here. I believe that's correct. Yeah, but this was agreed. That's how far in advance a lot of these schools do scheduling. I mean, we've had Washington, a home and home with the Washington Huskies on the schedule for several years now, but it's not till I think we go there in 2029 and then they come here in 2030. I could be off on the years, but that's been on the books for about 5 or 6 years now, I think. Maybe 3 or 4. It was after COVID, I know that, but um it's not something they just say, oh, it's not like we're playing a video game and, oh, I'm going to change my schedule next year. That's not how it works. Nebraska's put Tennessee in a pretty tough spot trying to figure this thing out. I don't know what their reasoning was. I'm sure they just didn't want to play a team that they could lose to. I mean, because Tennessee, look at where Tennessee could be in 2026. You got a really elite recruiting class coming in this next year, this next cycle. And if they all stay together, and it could be year three of Nico Iamaleava under center. Brandon Faison, the 5-star number one quarterback in the country, is coming in that class. So Tennessee's going to be loaded that year and the year after. And maybe Mac Rule in Nebraska's like, piss on that. We don't need that smoke. I don't know, but I know it's going to cost them $1 million to buy out of it, which is probably nothing to them. But I hate it. I hate it because I wanted to see Nebraska come here and I wanted to go to Nebraska. It's one of those iconic venues. I don't know if Nebraska's a blue blood or not. I think they're a lot like us. They're kind of right on the fringe, but their fans think they're blue bloods because the message board said blue bloods don't back out of games like this. Basically, one of them said it's chicken shit. So I don't
Is it?
know. It is to me. It is chicken shit.
I haven't seen anything that proves otherwise.
But we've done this before too. I mean, we backed out years ago under Dooley. We were supposed to have a home and home with North Carolina, and we paid to get out of it. Um, so you're right about BYU. I thought it was because they went to the Big 12 was some reason they backed out, and then we were supposed to obviously have a home and home with Oklahoma non-conference, but obviously they joined the conference, so that went away. But we had that scheduled before they joined the SEC. But um, I don't know who you go get here. I don't know who's available. I've not looked at schedule grids or anything like that. Somebody mentioned Notre Dame had some open dates in September, but again, their schedule's probably already settled for that year. So, what do you do here? I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to people much smarter than me and people who make a lot more money than I do.
Do a home and home with Carson Newman.
I
Battle of the
tweeted
West.
it. I tweeted Carson Newman. I was like, "Are you all available?" Nobody responded.
Matt Pope just probably hasn't seen it yet.
No, we could go up to, is it Tar Stadium?
Art Tar, that's correct.
We could go up there, and I don't know if we'd all get in or not, but the visiting sideline's a little small. I don't think it'd fit all of us.
I could get an alumni ticket. I'd be in
There
there.
you go. I'll just go sit at a house across the street and watch it off on the side of the road. See if somebody will let me post up in their yard.
Oh yeah.
Um, well, that sucks. I hated to hear that the other day, but it's business of college sports, and I hate it because I was really. That's another trip where I got shafted on going to Utah, and now Lincoln, Nebraska. Who would you pick up if they were available? Say anybody's available. Who would you pick up?
Personally, for me, I'd want it to be somewhere we've never been before, but also somebody that's pretty good. Uh, but the exception, I did see Notre Dame. That would be fun if it could work out. Notre Dame home and home to kind of revive what we did 20 years ago would be cool. Another cool one, like this might be piggybacking off of BYU, but like Utah would be kind of cool. One of the Arizona schools, Arizona or Arizona State. I respect Arizona State's coach a lot. I think they're going to be pretty decent for a while. Think he knows what he's doing. But yeah, just somewhere cool that like I've never been before, and also Tennessee's never been before, or if we have, it's been super long time ago. Just kind of like an off the wall matchup. Think it'd
So
be
I had a thought.
or Memphis.
Yeah, that crossed my mind because that's an in-state rivalry. We don't really consider it a rivalry. They do, but we've played them a bunch over the years, and it's in Memphis. So, um, two that crossed my mind, obviously, one was Notre Dame because we have a little bit of a. That's one of our two big non-conference rivals that we've played quite a bit over the years. Them, and then I thought UCLA because we've played them several times over many decades. We've played them there and here. One I thought of that would be cool that we've never been to is TCU. I thought that would be a pretty cool place to go. Obviously, I kind of thought like Penn State, but I'm trying not to think of like the big guns. TCU's good, but I don't, see them sitting at the top of the food chain. But I thought TCU, maybe like a Kansas State, that would be a
Honestly,
decent place to go.
this just popped in my head, and I think it would be fun because I think our fans would get along with theirs. A home and home with West Virginia would rock.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth.
That would be so fun, in my opinion. I would 1,000,000% go to Morgantown.
Yes.
I think that would have potential to be just as fun, or maybe a half notch below when we went to Baton Rouge.
I thought the top five I thought of was TCU, Kansas State, West Virginia, in no particular order, but I would put West Virginia at the top of this list. TCU, Kansas State, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. I think that would be a good home and home because we're pretty close to both of those teams. And I don't know what it was. I threw in Iowa for some reason. I know we played them a couple times in a bowl game, but going up to Kinnick Stadium, and I think that would be a cool place to go to. I also had Wisconsin on there. I thought Wisconsin would be good, but I think West Virginia is the answer
Yeah,
to this
yeah,
riddle. If they're
that's
available, we have to do it.
that's definitely the answer.
Get ESPN on board and say, hey, we're playing these two games at night, and Tennessee, we're going on the road. We'll go on the road in 2026, and then they come here in 2027. Let's make it happen.
I'm in. Can I sign the paper?
I'll sign it on behalf of Danny White. It would be a fun time going to Morgantown. We drove through Morgantown going to Pittsburgh a couple years ago for that game. It didn't get to stop or anything, but it is out in the country. It is country roads. That's for sure. But anyways, we'll keep you posted on that if we hear anything. Tennessee baseball had a big sweep over the weekend here against the oh gosh, I just went blank. Samford Bulldogs. 5-1 on 5-1 on Friday. I went and caught about 3 innings of that game. Reese Chapman hit a bomb over the center field batter's eye. Nice win again, nice sweep against a pretty decent mid-major program. I think they're projected to win their conference. Um, Levi Clark, the freshman, with a huge grand slam on Saturday in a tie game. Tennessee actually trailed 3-2. Jay Abernathy scored on a wild pitch, and then the Vols loaded the bases, and Levi Clark with this an absolute bomb to left field. Grand slam. Tennessee wins that game 7-3. This afternoon, beautiful day at Lindsey Nelson, and Tennessee run rules them 11-1. And the Vols are 6-0. They're headed to. We mentioned it last week. They're headed to Houston. No longer Minute Maid Park this upcoming weekend. They've got Radford, I believe, at home on Tuesday, and then they head to Houston on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. Hard, but I think this weekend will be their first really big test because they're obviously playing Power Four teams. But man, they look really good so far. They look every bit of the part like they did last year. And I know it's hard to judge against that actually played North Alabama on Tuesday night. But then on Friday, they play Oklahoma State, Saturday against Rice, and Sunday, the finale against the Arizona Wildcats. I don't believe either three of those teams are ranked currently. But anyway, playing step up in competition this weekend. So we'll see how the Vols are. But they look every bit of the part so far. What are they, 7 games in now?
Yeah, they look good. I've only seen bits and pieces and highlights, but I've also been reading a decent amount on them. I'm not going to be one of the ones to overreact in February, but this team's good. No, it's
I,
not. That's an
I,
understatement, obviously, but this team has potential to be special.
there's some college baseball accounts I follow on X, and a couple of them have mentioned that this could be Tennessee's deepest team ever under Vitello, which is saying a lot. But Thomas and I were at the game this afternoon, and we were talking. When AJ Russell comes back, they've got a wealth of depth at the pitching position. Um, but where like they're almost getting to the point they're going to have to play Levi Clark because the guy just keeps driving in runs. Like, and it could change, but at some point you're just going to have to say like this guy's making us put him in the lineup because he keeps driving in runs. Um, and then what if Osuna is granted eligibility? Like, okay, there's another one. Like, where are all these people going to play? It's a huge problem to have. And again, I don't want to overreact in February, but just seeing those two teams on the field on Friday and today on Sunday with my own eyes, it's just night and day difference in this program compared to others right now. Again, I'd like to see them against an SEC team, but or even a Power Four team, but they look every bit of the part. Hardman, just the pitching staff's really good. They can hit, they can field, they can run, they can do it all. A lot of depth, but that's what happens when you have top five recruiting classes every year.
Yeah, it's like I said on the last episode. It's not rebuilding. We're reloading every year.
You said it's a factory.
It is a factory. Like we have literally transformed Knoxville into a factory of baseball players. Just get used to
Crazy.
it because as long as Mike Honcho's here, that's just how it's going to be.
It's just crazy. I was sitting there Friday. It was cold Friday, Very cold, but had a toboggan on, hoodie, jacket, sat there for a few innings. It wasn't too bad in the sun, but um, just watching the team and looking at it, it's just crazy where like when I was in college, how mediocre it was. I mean, they had some ups and downs, but never really, they went to the World Series in '05 was the last time until Vitello got here, but nothing like this. This is incredible to watch. It's like Alabama and Georgia in football a little bit. So we'll see. Big matchups this weekend. We'll see how they do. We'll report back to the folks afterwards. Harbin, you got any closing thoughts before we leave?
No. Short answer. Beat LSU.
JWTDG.
Yeah, lock in. Beat LSU. And after that, after hopefully a pretty good looking dub, you got the tide rolling in. So you got to lock in this week. Got a big week ahead of us.
Beat LSU. That's a huge game on Saturday. And I did see Dickie V will be announcing that game on Saturday in Thompson Bowling.
Oh.
Incredible. It is good to have Dickie V back. I used to not like him because he was so over the top, but the man loves college basketball and he's got a huge heart. It's hard not like I hate not liking him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just hard not to like.
He
Um,
is college basketball.
yeah, he loves college basketball. It's like his life besides his family. It's all he thinks about.
Like he's probably the most prolific figure in college basketball of the last at least 30 years.
Yeah,
Especially the longevity part. But yes, it is good to see him back and at least feeling good enough to do it. Can't speak on how good he feels, obviously, but it's good to see him feel good enough to get back out there and actually do what he wants to do. So good on you, Dickie V. It's gonna be nice to
exactly.
have you in Knoxville.
It'd be good to have him here because I know him and Rick Barnes have had a connection over the past few years with his health problems, and Barnes would text him every day pretty much there. I don't know if he still is or not. I would assume they're still in contact, but it'd be good to see them together. But yeah, that's a huge game. Saturday is going to be a big atmosphere there at Thompson Bowling. So huge week for the Vols. To go 2-0 and put them at 11-5 puts them in fantastic position for the SEC tournament coming up. If they have any dreams or aspirations of winning that thing. So I got a big week. A lot of youth basketball going on. Harb. The Hornets won their district semifinal game yesterday afternoon, so they'll play I assume, I haven't seen the bracket, but I assume they're playing the Fulton Falcons on Tuesday night for the district title. They have to go all the way to Newport to play it. Two teams that are 10 minutes apart are having to drive all the way to Newport to play each other for the district title.
Hmm.
Doesn't make much sense, but it's Cotton County's turn to host.
ASSAA.
But that does mean since they are in the championship game, they'll host a region quarterfinal game at Jim Williams Gymnasium next Saturday night. Opponent TBD. So I'll be back on the microphone next Saturday night. Grubb will be back on the scoreboard. The dynamic duo's back. Will be one more game at home.
At least.
I hope Grubb's there. He missed the last game. He was tired. He's too tired.
I understand he's got a lot on his plate.
He does. He does. He does. He's coaching softball, but
No, that wasn't a slight.
oh no, it wasn't. He's saying he was
got,
tired.
yeah.
Needed a break.
Yeah, pretty girls get tired every once in a while.
Yeah. Grubb's wore out, y'all. Y'all don't understand. But anyways, we love you, Grubb.
Speaking of wore out, I am too. Let's
I
wrap
am
it.
too. I'm gonna go. We're gonna get off here. I'm gonna edit this thing out for you all to listen to, and go work on some stuff and get ready. Busy week here in Strawberry Plains and in Knoxville. So enjoy the basketball this week, whether it be adult or youth or high school or whatever you're watching. A lot of basketball. Great time of year. Into February turns into championship season in high school. 1st of March also, and then you get into mid-March and it's time for the big boys to showcase March Madness. So busy time of year. So Harb, appreciate you coming back on. We'll do it again next week.
Heard that.
So remember, if you're listening, go to our YouTube page, like and subscribe, comment, share. If you're watching us on YouTube and you want to listen to us while you're driving, look us up on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, one of the two there. Remember to like and subscribe to those also. All right, for Harb, I'm Negative Niece. Appreciate everybody listening. Go Vols. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next time on the Section YY8 podcast.